All right, class, we're taking care of our last section before our test, and the section is entitled 10.8 Systems of Linear Equations. So we're going to take what we learned yesterday when we graphed one linear inequality in the grid, and we're going to graph two this time. And we're going to see where those two colors or those two shades overlap, and that's going to be our solution set. Now, I actually picked the hardest problem first, so let's look here. Let's look at the first line. We've got y minus x minus 3 is less than equal to 0. And remember, in order for me to graph a linear inequality correctly, I need to get y alone. It's got to be in slope-intercept form. So we need to add 3 and add x to the other side. So we're going to have y is less than x plus 3. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to graph our line. Remember, m equals 1 this time. There's an understood 1 in front of the x. Our y-intercept is 3. So on our graph, we're going to put a dot at 3, and then we're going to apply our slope, up 1, right 1. Now, if you notice from yesterday, this is less than or equal to, so that means that we need a solid line. And so we're going to draw our solid line between the points. And we need a test point. X marks the spot. Once again, we're going to use 0, 0 today as our test point. So if I plug those in, we're going to get 0 for y is less than or equal to 3. Now, if you look, that's a true statement. Okay, so since that's a true statement, we're going to go up here and we're going to shade in, and we are going to cover, okay, we're going to cover X marks the spot. So if you notice, I go in here and I'm just shading X marks the spot. I'm shading my test point because I had a true statement. The answer was true. Okay, so we graphed our first line. Pretty easy. We did that yesterday. We did that last night for homework. Now, let's go ahead and graph the second line. Now, if you look at the second equation here, we've got to rearrange the furniture some more. We've got 2x plus 3y is greater than negative 6. Well, remember, we still need to get y alone. So we're going to have 3y is less than negative 2x minus 6. And I finally are going to divide everything by 3. So we've got y is greater than negative 2/3 x minus 2. All right, so let's see if we can graph that line. My y-intercept is negative 2. My slope is negative 2/3, so we're going to go down 2, right 3. Did you notice this time it just says greater than? So we're going to have a dotted line this time. So we're going to go in here and put our dotted line in. Now we're going to use the same test point. X marks the spot at 0, 0. So if I plug in 0, 0, we have 0 is greater than negative 2. And that is true. That's a true statement. And so we're going to highlight and color X marks the spot. So look what happens when I shade and above. Do you see how it changes colors? See where they overlap? Where they overlap is now green, and that is the solution set for this system of equations. So they may say, give me a solution for this system of equations. So you're going to go in here and just pick a point somewhere in this green shaded area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Listen, it would be 5, 2. They may say, is negative 5 2 a solution? And you would say no, because it's not in the color zone. So we're technically doing the exact same thing yesterday, except instead of graphing one inequality in the single plane, we're graphing two. And where those colors overlap, that is my solution set. Let's try another one. Let's look at these equations here. If I take the first equation, and again, neither one of these are in the right form. We've got to get y alone. It's got to be in slope-intercept form. So we've got to subtract x from both sides. We've got this negative sign right here, so that means we're going to divide everything by negative 1, which means we're going to have to flip our sign to flip. So my y-intercept is negative 2. My slope is positive 1, up 1, right 1. Are we going to have a solid line or a dotted line this time? Yep, that's right, dotted line. We're going to put that in. And I'm still going to use 0, 0 as my test point. So 0 less than -2. And again, that's false. If you notice, the big fat side's not by the big fat number. So we're going to highlight it. And remember, since it's false, we're not going to cover X marks the spot. We're going to go to the other side. Flip down to the other side and color in. Okay, so we took care of the first line. Let's see what happens with the second linear equation. Once again, we've got to get y alone. It's got to be in slope-intercept form. So we've got 2y is greater than or equal to -x. We have to subtract x to the other side. And we've still got to divide everything by 2. So y is greater than or equal to -1/2 x plus 1/2. Now, a little bit weird that time. We've never really had a fraction as our y-intercept, but we're just going to go on the y-axis between 0 and 1 and put our dot. And then for our slope, we're going to go down 1, right 2, and then we're going to connect the dots. And this time we have a solid line, if you realize. Solid line, so we're going to go ahead and connect those. I can still use 0, 0 as my test point. So we're going to get 0 greater than or equal to 1/2, and that's false. And so we don't color in, we don't cover X marks the spot. We go to the other side and color that in. And once again, where our two colors overlap, that's going to be my answer. So when you see the green zone where they two overlap, that's the answer. Well, we got one slide left. I even put this one in the right form for you. So let's see what happens. If I graph that first equation, my y-intercept is -3. My slope is 2, so we're going to go up 2, right 1. I'm going to have a dotted line because it's greater than. So we're going to have a dotted line. I'm going to put that in. As usual, my test point is 0, 0. Is 0 greater than -3? Well, this time that's a true statement. So we're going to go ahead and highlight, and we're going to cover X marks the spot. So we're going to color above. Again, just coloring in. Because it was a true statement, we're going to cover our test point. That's why I put X marks the spot, so I can remember which side to shade. Makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so there we go. Now, let's graph our second line. If we look at our second line, my y-intercept is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My slope is 2, up 2, right 1. We have another dotted line, if you notice. So let's go ahead and put our dotted line in here. And I'm going to use my test point 0, 0. Is 0 less than 6? Well, that's true as well. So we're going to go in here and we are going to highlight. Now remember, we're going to got to cover our test point. Look what happens. Look what happens. What's common to both is what's in between my two lines. And that's what's common to both. So once again, when we're graphing a system of inequalities, we're just graphing and shading two lines in the same coordinate plane on the same grid. And where we see those colors overlap, that is our answer.